All right, we got some music playing here. Let's hope my audio is well and my video is worse. Right? Let's see. I'm trying to get a good angle here. Where am I going to be sitting? Looks like I'm going to be sitting here. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Tridactyls.com and home of the constant companion theory. I am your host, Ed Casas, paving the way for a new science of xenoanthropology, where we search out the origins of the, dare I say, tridactyl culture. According to our research, it looks like these tridactyl beings who we have decided to go against the grain and give them our own Latin nomenclature, and we are going with Nagi tridactyls, or would it be Tridactylus? I don't know. Nagi tridactylus, maybe. We're thinking that these beings are the Naga of India, and we do have some cursory evidence to that. We are finding depictions of Naga that look remarkably similar to our little buddies, as they're called. Yeah. So I wanted to have a little bit of a topic today to kind of keep me focused and maybe to keep your interest, and that is steganography. So steganography is the idea of concealing information in art forms. We are going to be looking at statues, and we're going to see if these represent steganography or hidden work. We're also going to be looking at some alphabets. I do have a couple of Hongshang artifacts. These are a couple of the most sus. I've probably shown them before, but I know not everybody has seen all the artifacts that we've shown, so it's okay if we show them again. So where to begin? I think I'd like to first start just using my own TikTok channel. Hope that's okay. And I wanted to look at some of our research into the letters, the alphabet, what they're actually called in the Chinese language is Chinese radicals, because they're not really necessarily letters or sounds. I guess there is an attributing sound, but they're not, they're concepts, really. Oh, bless you, alien sneezer in the background. So let's take a look at some of these TikTok videos. So we're going to start with this one here. This is the Chinese radical for sky. Let me see if I can pull out some of my controls here so I'm able to work, basically. I do have 3 monitors today. I don't know if they'll help me or hinder me. So let's just go ahead and watch this a little bit here. So let's stop right there. So this here radical is the so-called radical for sky. Again, these are concepts. So like a lot of our symbols, they're multivariate meanings, not necessarily one symbolic meaning. And so this one's interesting because it represents the sky, heaven, celestial. It relates to gods in the heavens. And I don't know about you, but this silhouette looks familiar to me. And I think if we're looking for a motif, a commonality, you might want to make note of the bent limbs, much like some of our modern people who do experience dwarfism. A lot of times their legs and arms are bowed, and I think we're seeing this in the art. We might be seeing it in such depictions of possibly Ptah, Isis, and Bes. So let's continue. Close up on the head. It's another great one. Look at that silhouette. Looks very strange. It's just a very strange symbol to be tied to the meaning that it's tied to. That horizontal line on the top of the figure is also symbolic of big, grand. So, just the beginning of our. I don't even know if that's steganography, to be honest. I don't know if there's anything hidden there. It seems to be they're depicting exactly what they want to depict. Here's another one. We thought this was interesting. We thought this was a new concept to relook at the Eye of Horus, the Eye of Ra. We notice a similarity to the Chinese radical for dragon. Note too that the dragon is a two-part radical. So does this depict a serpentine mother goddess, perhaps, with the earth egg, the cosmic egg within her womb? And this could be very well steganography because it looks like an eye until we take a closer look and we notice that it somewhat resembles. Now, this could be pareidolia, I suppose, but we're looking at a grand philosophy here, a grand theory, an all-encompassing theory that leaves no corner of man's culture unturned. Okay. Steganography. Let's take a look now at another window here I have open. It'd be nice if I could get it to stay on the same window, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So I just have to reshare this again with a different window. Okay, I felt like this was definitely a early discovery of mine, and it was stumbling across this Amun statue. I mean, obviously, it looks like a ram, but I don't know how good you are at seeing shapes in clouds. I feel like it is more than a ram, and if just in case you can't see it, because I have noticed that we have shared things that people did not see with concealed symbolism. So it appears to me that these ears, which note too, the ears and the horns have they have a bit of a cross hatching to them. It looks like. I'd like to zoom in. We can zoom in a little. I don't understand why when you hit zoom, it just zooms in for a moment. Not real sure about that. Okay, and again, I can't really zoom in. So take a look at that. What do you think? Does that depict strictly a ram, or is this demonstrating that not only is that a tridactyl, but tridactyls are up in here ruling this? What do you think? It's an interesting position, reminiscent of the pharaoh's mother presenting her son forward, but yet she is the power behind. What's the saying? Behind every great pharaoh is a great tridactyl. Is that how it works? So steganography. We're going to continue to look at various possible hidden meaning, hidden depictions. Let's look into another favorite of mine is we were watching a Praveen Mohan video, and there were these little dwarf characters on the side of a couple statues, which is typical. In fact, I had put forth that I thought the dwarves represented the tridactyls in an anthropomorphic form. So let's see here. Okay, so here's just a picture of one. So you can see the face of the statue here. And then with a little bit of Photoshop, removing the statue proper, just leaving its crossed arms, it looks to me like we have a tridactyl head, possibly. Here's the other one on the other side. I believe it's the male. Possibly some horns showing. And again, this is hidden in the statue work. So we can watch this little video here. All right, cool stuff. Let's watch it again, just in case anyone missed it. So we have the cordiform shaped head, we have the elongated neck. And again, I thought this was a pretty good discovery considering I had the theory already that the Tridactyls are the yakshas of India. And the yakshas are just related to the Naga. So really, the Naga has this sort of, I believe they started the caste structure. Nagas, Rakashas, is it Rakashas or Rakshas? Rakshas and Yakshas. And that represents the 3 caste system. So let's look at some other great pictures of. So here we have Buddha and surrounded by what are supposed to be Naga cobras. And again, with a little Photoshop, we're able to pull out those faces and we can see that they're cordiform and they have little noses. And there's even something I talk about now called countenance. And what I mean by countenance is a general look or a general vibe you're getting, a general feeling that the artist was depicting in the faces. Now, that one reminds me of another video that, again, a lot of people don't always like the Photoshop because they feel like, I don't know, I'm trying to trick people or something. So let's try this one. Let's restart that a little bit. So here we have the typical pharaoh faces, many times with beards or decorative necks. And so my theory is, are these necks and beards, are they meant to mimic or emulate the beings? And before you discount that, let's keep in mind the people of Southeast Asia who practice the neck extensions. They practice that, I believe it's tribes in Myanmar, they practice that to emulate the dragon mother. Let's continue on with our possible steganography.
Ganesh, the elephant-headed.
I also believe Ganesh too,
known as the child in the
may be
or is it
Ganesh too may be a form of steganography. It is depicting a being known as the child, which is a sort of savior being, it appears. And there are many myths of children being born with serpentine ends. And a lot of people too sometimes say, hey, well, all these things you're talking about are just mutations, human mutations, birth defects and whatnot. And maybe so. But then my theory would then extend and say, okay, well, what if these birth defects and mutations are the result of this DNA that we have inside us today? Okay, another one, steganography. The famous Djed pillars, a symbol of support themselves. Literally what it means. Does the Djed pillar replicate the strange rib cage of the Tridactyls? It's also important to note that some of these depictions of the Djed, the being is shown with arms and hands. So it's kind of interesting. Okay. Just recently we found something cool. We found another head of Amun. And let's show you that one. Okay. Hey, it looks like, I wonder if I can share multiple screens. Wouldn't that be neat? Don't think so. Okay, so here we go. Look at this. So a very similar art form to the statue we showed you in Egypt. Actually, that statue is in the London Museum. So here it is again, appearing to show the ears as possible eyes. Sometimes the ears are depicted with either a cross hatching or some sort of motif that's reminiscent of water symbols. Cool stuff. All right, how we doing? Yeah, so an afternoon show. An afternoon Let's Talk Tridactyl shows. If anybody is listening, feel free to drop me a line. I'd love to see some of your chat comments. That's always super fun for me to see the chats come in. And I usually keep the myself. I usually try to keep the chat open. So just in case anybody wants to say something, you can see it right there. Never miss a comment. Click on a chat message to display it on screen. Yeah, well, I don't have to do that right now, do I? Because we don't have any messages yet. We're talking about steganography. I think it's a huge part of this tridactyl thing. I think either art naturally evolved into stylized forms. Use the ionic columns, for example. I believe those ionic columns evolved from worship of the beings becoming what are known as the Syrian eye idols. Those Syrian eye idols, in turn, evolving into stylized versions of An, the god. This is a Syrian religion, so by way of perhaps Anatolia and Western Greece. Let's go ahead and look at some Syrian eye idols while we have the chance here. So here's some groovy Syrian eye idols. I would say that this one over here on the left is somewhat hyper realistic. It also looks like a gingerbread cookie. So I would say that artist may very well had seen those beings, had seen them live in person. So I believe that evolves into other things, such as these stylized designs here found on ionic columns, these pomettes and volutes. The volutes representing what I believe are the eyes, pomettes representing a sort of mother goddess, and that is her tree of life, demonstrating that life comes from the mother goddess, probably serpentine in nature. Okay, so we're looking for either the ionic columns to show you or this. And so here is a stylized version, I believe, of the Syrian eye idols. This is the considered to be the god An, which does seem to be a word related to serpents in other languages. There's a lot of these words coming out. I see that related to serpents. There's so many phonemes and there's so many different languages, and the sounds get twisted and changed throughout time. So sometimes it is hard. I'm not a linguist. It is hard for me to trace some of these phonemes and some of these words. So that's An, again, a stylized version, I believe, of the Syrian eye idols. I believe even these concentric squares in the center also are representative of something. I think they are the stylized version of the spirals. So that, in my opinion, probably represents water, and it probably represents some sort of stone aqueduct waterway that was built. If you're following the myths of the Anunnaki, or the Menehune of Hawaii, supposed Naga giant tank in Sri Lanka, there's this definite trend of this motif of the beings being associated with water and creating waterways. That's one of the things supposedly that humans were created for, according to some of these myths, was to help create these waterways. So I think we've got a couple of different symbols there in the stylized version. And then we were just going to show you a column, our ionic column, hopefully, meme we made. So you see, feel free to stop me if you see something. Yeah, see, I don't even know where I put that now. That's part of the problem. I just try to post a lot, and I try to get my information out there. One, I just want to share it, and two, I want people to know, hey, look, this is cool. I think I discovered it, so I am proud. So, I know a lot of people don't like they don't like the sin of pride, and they certainly don't want people to feel special nowadays, do they? So I'm looking for what? I'm looking to show you something about the ionic columns. Hopefully I didn't just zoom past it real quick. Here we go. Is that one? Well, it's definitely ionic columns, but it's not the meme I wanted to show you. You expect this to be easier. I know I just did a post yesterday, so let me just pull that up. We'll just go to the post yesterday, and we'll take a look, and we'll see what I got. So again, anybody out there who is listening or watching, feel free to either send a chat. You can leave a chat on any of the platforms that you're watching this on, and ideally I will see it. And if it's cool and not entirely insane, I will definitely post it. All right, I just wanted to show you a post from yesterday because that way we can pull right up the ionic columns. There we go. Okay, so again, I have a theory that the Syrian eye idols, coming by way of maybe even farther northwest. Oh, look, and there's a different version. I think that's Enki. I think it changes. So, but nonetheless, that is a symbol. They call it horns. Yeah, it could be a dualistic meaning of horns. But you can see there's a precedent for anthropomorphic statues, of course, of worship and these pillars. Now, just to continue with these connections, these pillars are first found outside of mother goddess temples. And if you're following, and no pun intended, these Syrian eye idols were thought to be possibly fertility goddess symbols. And if you're reminded of the Heitiki of the Maori, that is considered an ancestral goddess. And even in some of the Native American myths, what do they call them? I believe they call them the ancestors. I'm not sure. So anyway, there's a tendency to associate these beings with ancestors and mother goddesses. That should send a pause through us all, especially now with the report of Maria's DNA coming out, and she is on hybrid. She's part human. So those ionic columns that we know from our court buildings, our political government buildings, could very well be the result of concealing message. Here we go. We got someone. I'm going to show Tudor's thing there. We're going to show his message. Ganesh is the Lord of the Ganas. Yes. So who are the Ganas? The Ganas are also a name for a dwarf-like people. The Ganas are probably related to the Ijiji. What else are they related to? Off the top of my head, could be related to treasure and gain, as of course these beings are associated with metal and metallurgy. Yes. So going into Ganesh's name in Tamil is the child, and we know he has an elephantine head, but a lot of people don't realize that his head was removed. And so it seemed like this myth of his head being removed from his body was really just an explanation to the fact that Ganesh was just a little tadpole, a pollywog, a part of the metamorphosis that I believe these beings go through. Let's look at some of our letters for the child. And by the way, the whole elephant trunk thing, also in the Hindu culture, that this sort of elephant trunk symbolism is referring to an unformed limb or limbs. So let's look at some of our alphabetical letters. Thank you, Tudor, again for popping on. Every little comment helps, guys, because it just sparks me to say something else. It just makes me think of more things or something I want to share with you. Oh, here we go. We got more. Shiva companion, yes, the head is put back by Shiva, slicing the head off of one of his ganas. Right. So we have Shiva, who may have been, uh, I don't know, is Shiva help me out here, tutor? Is Shiva some sort of superior god, or in reality, just one of the descendants? Because I believe what happens is you have these serpentine beings. The serpentine beings end up either birthing, evolving bipedal beings. In turn, are hybrids are introduced, and I believe these hybrids become the secondary, the intermediary between the humans. So the first priest kings of our planet were probably hybrids with enormous skulls. Here's a third comment from Tudor. Yep, I think the elephant is just an artist rendering. Yeah, so the elephant head is based probably, not every artist is going to know this, the meaning of these stories. So we're even going to have modern interpretations. There's probably some holy man in India right now who is damning me for my interpretations. I'm sorry, but we have new data, we have new information, we have the bodies. Those bodies led me to research the cortiform, the heart-shaped faces, which were found in conjunction with tridactyl beings, which were found in conjunction with spirals relating to the water. And it was also depicting with these beings the mother goddess in birth. I promised you a little meme on letters. So if you're following the Tudor myths, post-deluge Tudor myths, being superior to man emerged from the sea like Dagon or Oannes. Well, got a little stuck there. Emerged from the sea with fish shaped like heads, which I have another post. We can examine that. What do they mean by a fish shaped head? Maybe it is the elongated heads, or maybe it's like the tridactyl heads, right? Because they are different. The tridactyl heads are going this way. Here, let's use the little model. The tridactyl heads are going this way, but really the Paracas skulls and the human heads are going up this way. So it's like the face moved also, right? The face. Woo. That was fun. All right, let's look at these letters more. So upper left-hand corner, we have a cortiform heart-shaped symbol. All right, that is for the letter shin, the sh sound, the sheen letter, which is also the first letter or sound in the Shaddai word, which is a feminine version of the Yahweh deity. To the right of that, we have what I believe is the original shape, the original positioning of our letter A, or a Yah. I do believe you can make out this symbol on one of the tridactyl skulls. Next one is B, which I believe is like a serpentine mother. And then we have two other faces who are very reminiscent of tridactyls as well. And those are other outdated letters. Serpentine letters, we have the Ehuas of the runes and the Cyrillic C. Okay, so we wanted to talk about the child. This the second one, third row down, second column is the child, specifically Z in Chinese. Of course, people say, well, it's probably a child with their legs wrapped in, and that very well could be. But I think we are looking at a depiction of the evolution. So keep in mind how influential were these beings. If not only were they creating, we were basing, it depends, I don't know, were we basing the alphabet on them? Did they actually teach us this? Was it humans what if it was humans who taught themselves language without the beings knowing? Who knows? Well, it is said they teach us. Well, let's stick with the myths that people say. And we're kind of assuming a lot of these myths are true. So here's the child, and you can see multiple serpentine beings. We see the Semitic letter Yod, which means hand. So I don't know if that means the serpentine being grew a hand. This one here is one of my favorites. Looks like a Yuan Ti from Dungeons and Dragons. It's the Ka letter, The Ka has a primary position in the alphabet. And then we have a Kia letter. And that one, to me, seems to have the tridactyl head once again. Even has that sort of rear occipital bump area. And then we see the Tians again that we looked at. And then we have a few letters that I think quite clearly seem to represent the hands of the beings. Or these are multivariate symbols, and it's just another stylized version, a stick figure version of the child. So, steganography. We're looking for evidence of these beings. Here's a fun little infographic I made just to help everyone sort of, let's find these things. Let's look for these beings in museums everywhere, in our collective myths and legends. Let's keep our eyes open for horned beings as well. Let's go ahead, since I mentioned the letter A, which could seem a little mad. Let's at least show you where my madness is coming from. Not completely originally from my own skull. And I just like to, we'll just comb on down. It's great that you guys can at least see all these different pictures that we have posted over time. So you get to see them all at once. I don't know how many people actually just kind of breeze through these things here. So right now I'm looking for a good picture of the skull that, here we go. Okay, so there's a lot to see on this skull. Am I able to draw on my own screen? That would be neat. I don't know if this has that. No, I don't see any. That would be cool if I could draw. I'm not really sure how to do that here. So let's just take a look at it. So can you even see my mouse? You can't see my mouse either, I don't think, huh? Oh, well. Well, this skull has, at the very least, two large cranial ridges on the side and one sagittal ridge down the center. The beings that seem to have less pronounced ridges tend to have a dip in their skull, like this Josephine's skull might be a good example. There are little ridges on here, but she has this dip that I call the kappa, which I don't think can be seen in this one. It may be a sexual dimorphism thing where maybe the males, of course, I say males, females, sexual dimorphism. These things might be hermaphrodites. They might practice sequential hermaphroditism where the species sex actually changes with time. Wouldn't that be interesting? What else? So I said I'd promise you the letter A. And again, I really feel like I need the one graphic I drew on because there we go. That's a good one. All right. So you can see the cordiform shaped heart. And then I believe the A is formed on the lower left there, formed out of what is also more than likely our origins for our third eye is in the center of that A. And then I just kind of put the horns on there. And those are two different skulls, I believe. I think so. Yeah, it's actually hard to tell. Maybe not. It might just be different lighting. Well, this one down below, the one with the A, looks like it's still attached, right? So that is a daring proposition. That is a daring speculative theory to say that the post-deluge beings were so influential that they taught mankind letters, alphabets. What else did we want to cover today? Again, our focus is steganography. We're looking for hidden meanings. We're looking for meaning in letters, shapes, symbols. Let's go ahead and take a look at our shape and symbol infographic, info meme, and then maybe we'll wrap it up. Let's see. Okay, so again, this is a daring grand theory that we propose that some of our most basic symbols are inspired by contact with non-human tridactyl beings. And that includes the cross. The cross, which could be a stylized, multivariate thing, a stylized version of the child, depicting a tadpole-like being, a proper naga with arms, but a serpentine lower end. The heart, of course, is the leading part of our theory. We're saying that those hearts are associated with the shape of the tridactyl face. The peace symbol, it's interesting because in the Norse runes, the algiz symbol, which is this letter here, is later turned upside down, inverted. So almost implying if that did become a symbolic piece, does that mean the Tridactyls put their arms down and stopped fighting, or did the humans vanquish them, defeat them, send them underground at the behest of their eagle god? The floor, interesting thing about the floor is that the floor seems to come to us through a series of things. And one of those is, I believe, an ancient symbol for Yahweh. Let's see, something called the Yehud coins. So if we look up the Yehud coin, which is considered to be a Yahweh coin, let me show you that. Okay. So here we go, the Yehud coin, Yahweh coin, and it depicts what appears to be an iris, I believe, a flower. So the fleur de lis, comes to us because people associated that with the flower also, an iris along perhaps the Danube originally, and that flower became associated with the Mother Mary, which of course Mother Mary is just really a substitute for some sort of mother goddess. So I just find it interesting that the Yahud coin has that similarity with the floor and is possibly depicting beings. And I think that's a good place to wrap up for some of our iconic mystery, for some of our steganographic hidden meanings possibly. And then let me, I say one last thing always, right? And I leave you with these two guys. They sound like they're made out of a crystal. I don't know who made them. They're pretty cool. They appear to have tridactyl limbs. Let's focus in on those guys, shall we? Let's move that over here. A very small screen. Let's go full screen. Boom. All right, I leave you with these two Hongshang artifacts. Keep searching out there, guys. I am exploring museum sites, finding new artifacts every day, learning about new myths, new cultures that I never learned about while I was in my anthropology class. So it's a really good time. Keep wondering and stay curious. Live long and prosper.